2. I'm going to start the webinar now and let the participants come in. And then whenever you're ready to go at 4, you can start.
Just a sec, this might be.
Whenever you're ready, Mayor Smith.
Okay. It is 4 o'clock, so we will
just
call the
one
meeting to
thing.
order.
Excuse me?
Yes.
Nikki can hear us, but she doesn't have audio. She cannot hear, you can't hear her.
Okay. Nikki, try again. Say something, Nikki, and see if we can hear you. She can't hear us.
Try
You can't
logging
hear
out.
us.
Try logging out and logging back in again. You may have logged in before I changed the audio settings.
Okay, we'll
Okay,
just
so she's
wait
gotta log in.
for a minute. And maybe Sherry will get in as well.
Who else has a sign on their screen saying this meeting is being recorded?
Yeah, just
Yeah.
hit continue.
Yeah, I think that's a new thing.
Can I just hit continue and get rid of it?
Yes, yes.
Or leave the meeting.
There you go. I can early supper.
Encourage him, Jen.
Can you get us now? Nikki, can you hear us? She might be sending me a message or two.
Can Elwin hear us?
Yes.
There you go.
Okay.
See, Nikki could hear us, but we couldn't hear her.
Are you in the same building, Elwin, as Nikki?
I think so.
Okay.
So she maybe is gonna look and see what's going on.
Oh, the joys of technology, eh?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay, we'll wait another minute and then we'll get started. I have one mosquito that's flying around here. There we go. We can hear you, Nikki.
Okay, I can hear
Can
you
you
now
hear
too, but
us?
I'm on my phone.
Oh.
Okay. All right. I have a mosquito. Okay, we're going to call the meeting to order. And our first item is approval of the agenda. I have a motion moved by Tom and seconded by Cindy that the agenda for the regular council meeting held May 25th, 2021 be approved as, are there any amendments?
No, none.
So approved as presented. Any discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Is there any disclosure, pecuniary interest, and general nature thereof of any item on tonight's agenda by any member of council? Okay, seeing no one with their hand up, we'll note that in the minutes. And next I have a motion moved by Bill and seconded by, it was Sherry, it's going to be Nikki now. That the minutes of the regular council meeting held May 11th, 2021, the special council meeting held May 18th, 2021, and the special council meeting held May 20th, 2021, be approved as presented. Any discussion or amendments to that? Hearing none. All those in favor? Motion's carried. Okay, mayor's remarks, just a few remarks basically about the vaccination clinic that's upcoming. At this point, we have a little over 300 people and we are assured of 400 doses. So if there's people that you know that haven't been contacted by the medical center, if they're a patient there, have them call. If they're not a patient there, we can put them on a standby list and they can either call me or call the medical center to get on that standby list. So it's 18 and up at this point. It is Moderna is the vaccine that will be used. And it's Monday, May 31st at the Charlotte Lake Fire Hall. That venue has worked out so well and the volunteers, the fire department, township staff, like everybody's just pulling together and it's going amazingly well. Our numbers, it sounds like from Dr. Moore's last report is coming down. We have a meeting with him tomorrow at noon, so he'll give us an update then. So maybe with our fingers crossed, we'll be out of the lockdown by the June date. And maybe once these vaccinations get up to 60, 70%, things will start to open up. So we may have a summer yet. I'm hopeful. Nikki, do you have anything to add?
Yes, through you, Madam Mayor. I went and wanted everyone to know that I went on Saturday and had the pleasure of watching the firefighters train on their new truck. And it is an amazing vehicle. It was a very good experience. They all were very dedicated, quite interested, really respectful, happy to have a new vehicle. Just a great experience. Kudos to the chief for the truck he purchased and for those volunteers that are working with it. I just think it was a great job by council for purchasing, the chief for doing all the work, and the firefighters for appreciating it.
Excellent. Yes, Kathy and I were there the day it was delivered with Jamie for a photo shoot. So it's a beautiful truck and it's got all sorts of different things that it's amazing the new things they think of each time they work on these trucks. And the fellow was telling us that those ideas come from the firefighters themselves. And I'm sure Jamie's going to talk about it more in his report, but it's a beautiful machine. It really is. Okay.
Sherry
Does
is
anyone
joining
else
us now.
have to add? I see Sherry's there.
Thank
Welcome,
you,
Sherry.
Cindy. Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Sherry.
Okay, are there any deferred items?
No.
Hearing none. Our first staff report is Fire and Emergency Services. Moved by Victor and seconded by Elwin that council received the CFFR activity report dated May 25th, 2021, prepared by the Acting Manager of Emergency Services, Fire Chief for information. Any discussion on that report? Bill?
Yeah, just a question through you, Madam Mayor, to Jamie. Jamie, why does when you come to the all stations incident report, why does that total incidents not add up to what happened in each of the stations? Was there something not included?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor McDonald. The all stations, so we have calls where multiple stations respond to the same call.
Okay.
So we have our total calls for the year, and plus we have our total station calls.
Okay. Good explanation. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, Tom? Go ahead,
Thank you, thank you, Your Worship. Jamie, this is the first time that I've noticed that you put fines on the report, and some of them are substantial. I'm just wondering, what's the nature of these fire fines that you've issued?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Dewey. Just with the changes to the new bylaw, and there's some of that money that we've recovered isn't all through the burn bylaw. It's actually chargebacks for calls where there was negligence on part of the property owner, and I just wanted to start to share some of these numbers that as far as cost recovery goes, and money that we're able to now through changes to our bylaws and changes to our policies, that we can now recoup some of the costings that we're putting out. And we're just starting to work on another policy where we're able to bill for motor vehicle collisions on municipal roads for people that are residents of Central Frontenac.
Okay. And would these negligence on the part of the homeowner be like setting grass fires, that kind of thing?
Yeah, so that would fall under that type of nuisance or negligence would fall under the burn bylaw. Calls with spills where we can show that it was negligence on part of the homeowner, then we can go back on the homeowner for cost recovery.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Victor? Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have two questions for you, Jamie. One of them is, I noticed that the fire calls are way up over last year. Could you please, is there some explanation for why? And the second question has to do with the station by station breakdown. Under fire and smoke, you have one ELPOLE. I don't know what that is. And 4 STRF, I'm assuming that's structure fire. If you could explain those acronyms so that you get a better sense of what sort of things we're dealing with.
Yep. I'll start with the last question. So the ELOP is electrical pole. And yes, the STR is structure fires. Just quickly with the calls this year versus last year. We have seen a little more increase in sorry, my other screen just glitched. It's the internet. Overall, we are down this year for the year. Most of that is through medical calls. Our medical calls are down. They were a little, I think they were on par. Yeah, they were on par, same as last year. But we have had a couple more vehicle collisions and a couple of more fires as well this year than what we had last year. And it's just it's unpredictable, so it's hard to say why the increase.
So just sort of a follow-up question, Madam Mayor, if I may. I'm looking specifically at the fire calls, not the other calls. Big increase month over month between last year and this year. So for example, like Mountain Grove had 9 calls this year and 2 last year. And it's the same over all the stations. And I'm just wondering, has something changed? Has something happened?
Yes, through you, Madam Mayor. Sorry, I missed that. So with the station responses, and now that we have Parham's new tanker in service, we'll start to see Mountain Grove's tanker or Mountain Grove's calls come down a little bit because their tanker was on an automatic response for all of Station 4 calls. So every time Parham would receive a call, then both Sharba Lake tanker and Mountain Grove's tankers would be automatically dispatched for coverage.
That makes sense now.
Yes. Yeah. And it's something
Okay.
It's something that with the response plan that we're gonna really look close, because with our numbers during the day, we'll likely keep tankers on automatic responses for all districts. So if we do get a fire, all the tankers will still roll. And we can always call them off after.
Yeah. Okay. All right. If there's no other questions or comments, all those in favor of the motion to receive the report. Motion's carried.
just before I leave, Madam Mayor, I just also like to thank council and on behalf of our membership, the truck was received. It's smiles all around. We've been training every night with it. The guys have been doing their driver training just because of the size of the truck and it being a tandem. We put all the operators through driver training on it. And it's just, it's a wonderful piece of equipment and it's going to be a huge asset to our fire protection and for our department. So on behalf of all the men and women on the fire service, again, thanks to the council for their support in the purchase of this truck.
Okay.
Is that the truck
Thank you.
behind
And
you?
thank all the firefighters for us.
Yes.
And also to his couple questions, Fran.
Okay. Tom
I'm
and
just-
then Bill.
I was just going to ask Jamie, are you sitting in front of the truck? Is that behind you there?
That is the new truck. I'm not sitting. I put that on a screen and I can't find where to go back in and change it. So I'm kind of stuck with it.
And Bill.
Okay.
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Jamie. Jamie, does the new truck have air brakes on it? And do we have people who have Z endorsement for driving it?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor McDonald, yes, the new truck has air brakes and air ride suspension. And yes, all the operators on it have their DZ license.
Good.
One last thing I forgot, I didn't get it on the report because it came in after the fact, but we have received one of the 2 trucks that went for retrofit back, and it's all loaded and in service at Station 2 in Mountain Grove. There's a long time waiting for the parts, but that's the COVID reality, and our hands are tied as we wait for the material. But hopefully the other truck will be back late this week, if not early next week, which will be housed at Station 1 in Arden.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Jamie. And now we are at Development Services. I have a motion moved by Brent and seconded by Nikki. Whereas quotation RFQ number FA 2021-02 was released on March 4th, 2021 and closed on April 1st, 2021 for the custodial services OSO district. And whereas only one quotation was received from Clean Sweep Cleaning Services in the amount of $27,980 excluding HST. And whereas the manager of development services is recommending to council to accept this quotation, which begins June 1st, 2021. Now, therefore, be it resolved that council approve the recommendation of the manager of development services and award the 1-year contract for custodial services OSO district to Clean Sweep Cleaning Services for the amount of $27,980 excluding HST. And further, that the manager of development services be authorized to issue a purchase order for the contract. Discussion? As Andy indicated in his report, it's about $55 a cleaning. Brent?
Thank you,
Go
Madam
ahead.
Mayor. I'm just wondering, of course, I see in the report that they're doing the cleaning for Hinchinbrook District and people are pleased. I'm just wondering if, we have confidence that taking on another district, and in particular OSO district, because a lot of our municipal facilities are there and require a lot, we're confident that the vendor is going to be able to maintain the work in both districts.
Andy?
Sorry about that. Just trying to unmute. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can. Go ahead.
Okay. Yep, through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Brent. Yes, Clean Sweep Services has a few employees and they're quite capable of taking on the other district.
Okay. And it is a 1-year contract. If it's not working out, there won't be a 2nd-year contract.
That's right.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, all those in favor? Motion's carried. Hopefully we can get back to making some revenue in these public spaces so that we can pay for the cleaning.
Mhm.
We have finance and treasury. I have a motion moved by Tom and seconded by Sherry that council approve the check distribution reports totaling $1,832,837 as prepared by the treasurer. Any questions or comments? Victor?
Through you, Madam
ahead.
Mayor, to Michael. There is a 631,000 disbursement to the Frontenac Community Arena. Can you just explain what that is?
Through your worship to Councillor Hayes, it's an advance to the arena until some other revenue source comes in to get the capital projects done that they applied for. That's sufficient wording?
Yeah, so basically it's we have a grant available, right? And it's just getting things
We're hoping
moving
for it.
until we get that grant.
That's
And then the
Yes.
funds will come back. Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, we have sufficient budget currently to take care of the net amount, let's say.
Okay, Brent?
I'll just put my arena board chair hat on for a minute. And Sherry can back me. That is correct. We have applied for grant funding, and this is going to get us through in the interim. Just to let people know, a lot of the work has been completed, and the cement for the new pad has been poured, and that we fully anticipate opening on time in September. And we're very optimistic about our chances of getting grant support.
Good. Okay, if there are no other questions, all those in favor of paying the bills? Motion's carried. We knew that number would catch people's attention. Next, I have a motion moved by Cindy and seconded by Bill. That council approve the following apportionments of assessment as recommended by impact for 2021 as applicable for the following roll numbers. And there are a whole number of them there. Does anyone have any question on any of these? Seeing no hands going up, all those in favor of approving? Carried. Okay, still with finance and treasury, moved by Elwin and seconded by Brent, that council for the Township of Central Frontenac approve the following reduction of assessments pursuant to the Municipal Act. Roll number 1039-050-023-1100, Newstead, Catherine Alice, and Michael John for the period of July 22nd, 2019 to May 15, 2020, as reported by impact. Reason, raised by fire, demolition, or otherwise, 357-1DI. And roll number 1039-080-020-110-02, Central Frontenac Township for the period of January 1 to December 31, 2021, as reported by impact. Reason, cease to be liable for tax at rate it was taxed at, 357-1A. And roll number 1039-010-020-14300, Ron Field, Gary William for the period of February 26th to December 31st, 2021 as reported by impact. Reason, raised by fire, demolition, or otherwise, 357-1DI. And further, that council approve an adjustment of taxes to be calculated by the tax department for the related periods. Any discussion on any of those? All those in favor? Motion's carried.
Thank you, council. Stay safe, and I hope to see you in person sometime soon.
Yes, thank you, Michael. Okay, next on the agenda is administration. And I have a motion moved by Nikki and seconded by Victor. Whereas the township has leased the boat launch and docks from the Department of Fisheries and Oceans located at Crow Lake and Charlotte Lake for many years. And whereas these facilities provide public boat access and docking for these lakes, which are critical for our waterfront and island residents and for our tourist industry. And whereas the facilities are in need of repair and remediation, and whereas Fisheries and Oceans has indicated they will be moving forward with plans to divest itself of its recreational harbors. Now, therefore, be it resolved that council agree in principle with taking ownership of the Crow Lake and Charbot Lake facilities and direct staff to enter into discussions with Fisheries and Oceans Canada to commence the divestiture process. And that staff bring back another report once financial details of the repairs and divestries are known. So we don't want to take it over until we figure out the cost.
Right.
Any discussion? Tom?
Thank you,
And
Your
then
Worship.
Brent.
Thank you, Your Worship. I fully support staff going ahead with this, but in the meantime, it sounds like there are some repairs that are required for the dock. I think those are probably something that we should look at getting done, because you want to make sure that the areas are safe for the public. And so I don't know what repairs, but maybe we need to look at that. And I don't know if they're going to share part of that cost. I'm not sure, but I kind of read in there that they would be sharing part of the cost with us.
And I
We'd
think
like them to
usually they
pay
do.
all the cost.
Yeah, usually they do. Now, I don't know, Andy or Cindy met with them, so they might be able to further explain.
Yeah, through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Dewey. The engineer did meet us on site. He's doing up some drawings based on discussions with Andy and other staff members. So we're planning to have a meeting probably in 2 to 3 weeks with their area manager, and the immediate repair work will be discussed and planned at that point. They do believe, yes, that there should be some funds in a cost sharing arrangement, but the details of that are a little bit fuzzy at this point. They're just getting into their budget year, so they're not 100% sure of their budget, but they are working towards some kind of a cost share arrangement. So we'll know more in a few weeks when we do have that meeting with them.
Yep.
Okay, Brent, and then Bill.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Further to that, even though we don't know the specifics about what we may or may not be on the hook for, I'll say that I think it's a good idea for economic development and the downtown revitalization. There was a lot of talk about the potential for the government docks. So this would certainly give us, I think, a little more latitude. But getting into the specifics of this, presumably, even if DFO is not running the dock, they're going to have an interest in it because they're still going to want to have access to do their work on both lakes. So I'm just wondering if there's any indication that if we take ownership of it, that we're going to have to maintain it to a particular standard. I would think about, for example, 38 when we took it over. Certainly the province had expectations about how we would maintain that road. So I'm just wondering if it's too early, or do we have a sense that DFO would have expectations as to the standard of upkeep and maintenance that we would assume in years to follow?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Cameron, I think that will come out in the discussions that we have. The divestiture program is kind of new with DFO, and they're not 100% sure how it will roll out. What they initially told us would probably be the case that they've put on hold, and they're coming back to us with more information. So I think that they probably would in some form require some kind of minimum standard, no less than what's already there now, but they don't even know themselves yet at this point how that's going to look, because there's a lot of uncertainty at the department itself.
Okay, good point though, Brent. Bill?
Yes, through you, Madam Mayor. Cindy, perhaps another line you should put on the negotiations. I recall a couple of years ago when we had a really dry summer that the government dock down at Crow Lake, you could not use. They couldn't, the dock's not long enough when the water goes down, because some of these lakes, to keep the water system running, what they do is they take out some of the blocks that are holding the water level. And so it declined to the point where no one could actually, what should I say, put a boat in or take it out. So I'm wondering if there might be some discussions around if it was necessary to extend the dock due to perhaps climate change in the future. Would the ministry perhaps be on side with us with the cost of actually having to extend the launching area, especially on the Crow Lake launch? The Shibard Lake government dock is not necessarily impacted as much as it is down there, but I just would throw that out there for perhaps another point of discussion. Thank you.
Through you, Madam Mayor, that's a good point and something we can talk to them about when we get into the planning, because there is some opportunity there for sort of looking at the assets as in a general sense and what needs to be done to turn them over to us in a good shape. So we'll certainly raise that as an issue going forward. I don't know if the work they did on the Bolingbrook Dam recently will help the water levels in Crow Lake or not. I don't know if there's any recent history since they've done that, whether or not that will help things or not, but we'll certainly raise it with them.
Okay. Okay, so staff has got some extra comments from council to think about and try to work into the discussions, and then a report will come back again. And it may not happen right away. It may be a few years getting this worked out. Okay, all those in favor of the motion that was read? Motion's carried. I don't know about you guys, but I am hearing thunder.
Well, they did say, I was listening to the weather and it did say we may have thunderstorms later this afternoon.
Well, if I go blank, you'll know what's happening.
Okay.
All right. Next, we have road closure, part of the Ardoc Road, moved by Sherry and seconded by Bill. Whereas council agreed in principle to close and convey a portion of the former Ardoc Road adjacent to the applicant's property and directed staff to obtain an opinion of value. And whereas our policy provides for two methods of valuation, letter of opinion from a realtor or an average calculation based on the value of the adjacent properties. And whereas both have been obtained and the applicants wish to proceed with the valuation based on the average calculation based on the value of the adjacent property. And now therefore be it resolved that council pass a bylaw later in the meeting to close and convey to the application the portion of the Ardoc Road described as Part 10, 13R, 2171 for the purchase price of $4,068.80 plus HST, with the condition that the road allowance be merged with the applicant's existing property as a lot addition. Any discussion or questions on this one? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor? Okay, motion's carried. License agreement. We have a motion moved by Elwin and seconded by Victor. Whereas the Committee of Adjustment has approved consent application for the creation of an easement for access pursuant to application B2820OL, subject to a condition that the applicant enter into a license agreement with the municipality for a portion of the right-of-way which travels along the unopened road allowance. And whereas the owner of the property receiving the benefit of this easement is desirous of meeting the conditions of consent and have requested the finalization of the license agreement. Now therefore be it resolved that council pass a bylaw later in the meeting to authorize the mayor and clerk to execute a license agreement in favor of Zed Burney in substantially the same form and content as the draft attached to this report. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion's carried. Okay. I have another motion moved by Tom and seconded by Cindy. Whereas the Comprehensive Ontario Police Services Act 2019, Bill 68, was passed on March 26, 2019, which established the Community Safety and Policing Act 2019. And whereas OPP detachment boards under CSPA are to be established, which will replace police services boards and community policing advisory committee, CPAC. Can I just wait 1 minute? I have to let a dog in.
Okay, let's pass a motion to adjourn.
I had the motion. I could read it for her.
I'm so sorry. I have a screen door and I know that if I don't go when she's there, the screen door will be gone. All right, I'm going to start again. Whereas the Comprehensive Ontario Police Services Act 2019, Bill 68 was passed on March 26, 2019, which established the Community Policing and Safety Act 2019. And whereas OPP detachment boards under the CSPA are to be established, which will replace Police Services Board and Community Policing Advisory Committee, CPAC. And whereas the framework for detachment boards requires the municipalities and First Nations within the jurisdictional area of detachment to submit one proposal indicating the composition of their board by June 7th, 2021. And whereas the CAOs from South, North, and Central Frontenac discussed the potential structure for the Frontenac Detachment Board for discussion by each of the respective councils. Now, therefore, be it resolved that council recommends to the Solicitor General that the Frontenac OPP Detachment Board composition consists of 9 voting members plus staff support as follows. 4 municipal representatives, South Frontenac times 2, Central Frontenac times 1, and North Frontenac times 1. 3 community representatives, South Frontenac 1, Central and North 1, and Charbonneau-Botchouan's First Nation 1, and 2 provincial appointees, South Frontenac 1 and Central Frontenac, North Frontenac 1. So that's the composition of the board.
Mhm.
Any discussion on this? Victor, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm pleased to see that we have a community representative from the Charbonneau-Botchouan, and I'm thankful for all the CAOs and the mayors who agreed to that suggestion. I'm just wondering, how hard is this structure going to be to change in the future? And what I'm thinking is that once the Algonquin land claims are settled, then the band councils will change from sort of an informal structure to a formal structure, and perhaps we will need to make room at the municipal representative level for somebody from their band council as well. So this is well into the future, I understand, but will it be possible to change the structure of the board?
Yes, I can answer that. Yes, they will. Councillor Hees, because when I spoke to them in regards to the Charbonneau-Botchouan, and if we did not include them at this point, we would have to amend certainly our board structure. So yes, they are planning that in the future, because they do know that with the Algonquin land claim, they are going to become landowners. So we would probably have to at that time. So, but you're correct. We would just have to amend our board. So, and thank you for making that suggestion. So as you see in my report, I did speak to Chief Doreen Davis, and she absolutely said they do want to be included on the board and very interested. So I had a very good conversation with her.
Okay, thank you for that,
Good.
Kathy.
Bill?
Yes, through you, Madam Mayor, to Kathy. Kathy, has there been any indication at this point as to the regularity of this committee getting together, and what would the terms of reference and their role be? Have we gotten that far along in the planning yet that someone who volunteering to be on here would have some idea of what kind of, what should I say, effort it would take to be a member of this board?
No, we do not know that yet, Bill. That'll come.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or comments on the motion? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor? Motion's carried. Okay. We are now at the business summary. So moved by Bill and seconded by Brent, that council received the business summary report prepared by the CAO clerk for information. It's a pretty thorough report. I think they've covered just about everything we can think of in there.
Well,
Is there
we're hoping,
anything?
we hope so.
Is there anything that council noticed that was missing that should be on there?
Very
Vicki, go
comprehensive.
ahead.
Through you, Madam Mayor. I was wondering if there's a possibility of adding something to the list. At our last meeting, when we had the presentation from the couple on Charlotte Lake about the road not being assumed from January, I had spoke to both the CAO and the deputy clerk as well about what costs would be associated with people come out of the woodwork wanting more of these roads assumed and maintained. So is that something we could add to this as a project possibly to find out what a cost would be for assuming private roads or roads that people feel that should be being assumed?
I think we could certainly look at doing some research into the numbers of kilometers and what shape they're in and a ballpark. I think that information is fairly easy to get their hands on it. Kathy, what do you think?
We could add it on as a project. So we try to be very careful, and I know there is that fine line between what is actually a project and what's a day-to-day operation. Because that way then, as you know, council does not get involved in the day-to-day operations, but when we're looking at certainly projects that it's dollars spent, you know, with budget money, that's what needs to be listed so that council is aware as to where we are on track. But certainly we can do that if council.
Could I suggest that the private road study that was done by the county, that maybe send Nikki a link to that? It's a good read, and it talks about the number of kilometers and what kind of shape they're in. That could be a starting place.
Absolutely.
Bill, go ahead.
Yes, I was going to mention that same thing through you, Madam Mayor, but I also would like to just extend my gratitude to the members of staff, given the fact that what we've been working under the last year and a half, the number of projects that have been completed, I think really speaks volumes on the effort that our staff have put in under the circumstances they're working on. I just want to personally thank them for that.
Yes, very true.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions or comments? If not, all those in favor of the motion of accepting the report? Okay, motion's carried. Right. We are at communications. And the Eastern Ontario Trails Alliance minutes, moved by Tom and seconded by Sherry, that council received the minutes of the April 8th, 2021 board meeting and information regarding grants projects for information. Any discussion on the grants project? I have one that, oh, sorry, Kathy, go ahead.
Hand up.
Oh, go ahead, Nikki.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Dewey. I was reading all these reports and I was wondering if you could tell me what type of work is going to be done in Central Frontenac through the grants that EOTA has received.
Through you, Your Worship. Right now, we're evaluating all of the trails, and especially here in Central Frontenac. It's going to vary from kilometer to kilometer. Some areas will need a lot of gravel. Some will need, just topping up, but it depends on the area. So we're in the process of getting that report together, and as that is completed, we'll be passing it along to council.
Okay, thank you very much.
There will be a report coming from the ad hoc committee that Wayne Robinson and I have been working on, and we've been working with Cindy at EOTA. And there's a good possibility that there may be a fair amount of grant money coming to the Central Frontenac section, that 30 kilometers. Tom, was there a motion in May's meeting?
With regards to what, Your Worship?
To the 30 kilometers in Central Frontenac getting?
No, there's been nothing come up yet. We're still working on the details of the grant, and we don't have any set amount for that particular area, but we're putting that all together, and as it rolls out, we'll be passing it along. But it will not be in the form of money coming over to Central Frontenac. In actual fact, I think what we've been asking is the group if they raise any money to pass it on to us, because we will use that in conjunction with the grant money to try to improve the trail.
Well, sort of different than some of the discussions we've had with Cindy, but we'll bring that back at our next meeting.
Okay, no,
Yeah, whole different can of money.
yeah, no,
Okay, so all those, any other questions on the minutes? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of the motion to receive them? Motion's carried. Okay, correspondence is next. Moved by Nikki and seconded by Elwin that correspondence received for May 25th, 2021, being 1 to 6, be approved. Any questions on the correspondence? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion's carried. Okay, there are no delegations. And we are now at our public meeting. I have to go to another technology piece here. We have Jenny and Sonia on the call as well. And this is an application for zoning bylaw amendment Thompson, and this is a public meeting to receive comments about the approving and amending bylaw. So I'm going to open up just a minute. Oh dear, I just lost it.
Madam Mayor, I can put it up on the screen if that's easier.
Could you put it up and I'll read it? Yes. I had it right up until I hit a button.
Do I have the right screen up?
Yes, you do.
Perfect.
You do. It's just a little small here. I need to get my other glasses on. Okay, so the Council of the Township of Central Frontenac is conducting a public meeting under the Planning Act with respect to application ZB 0221 Thompson for the rezoning of part of Lot 3 and Concession 4, or part of Lot 3 and 4, Concession 3, also vacant land on Crow Lake Road from EP to a rural zone R to allow for development. I will now ask the clerk to advise the method by which the notice of the meeting was given and confirmation as to the date that notice was given.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I can confirm that notices were mailed to the everyone within the 120 meters on April the 28th, 2021. And there were 2 postings on site that were posted on May 4th, 2021.
Okay. Any person who wished to receive a copy of the minutes of the public meeting, a copy of the report or notice of the passing should indicate their full name, address, and postal code and contact numbers to Kathy McMuncio, clerk, at the contact information provided in the report. The information is also available on the screen here tonight. If a person or public body does not make oral submissions at the public meeting or make written submissions to the Township of Central Frontenac before the proposed amendment being approved or adopted, the person or public body is not entitled to appeal the decision of the Council of the Township of Central Frontenac to the local planning appeal tribunal and may not be added as a party to the hearing of an appeal before the local planning appeal tribunal unless, in the opinion of the tribunal, there are reasonable grounds to do so. The procedure for the public meeting will be as follows. The planner will be asked to explain the purpose of the public meeting. The applicant will then be provided with an opportunity to discuss the proposal if they wish. I will then inquire if there are other persons wishing to make comments or ask questions about the proposal. They will be given an opportunity to address council. The applicant will also be given an opportunity to respond to issues arising from the public comments. Please be aware that all persons wishing to address the issues should direct their comments and questions through the chair. I would also note that personal information collected as a result of this public meeting is collected under the authority of the Municipal Act, the Municipal Freedom of Information Protection of Privacy Act, MFIPA, the Planning Act, and all other relevant legislation, and will be used to assist in making a decision on this matter. All personal information as identified by MFIPA, including but not limited to names, addresses, opinions, and comments collected will be made available for public disclosure to members of the public at the meeting through requests and through the website of the Corporation of the Township Central Frontenac. Questions regarding the collection, use, and disclosure of this personal information may be directed to the clerk. I will now ask Cindy to advise how members of the public can participate in the meeting, and she'll put up slides to show you how to do that.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and I have to apologize. I forgot to include the slides on here, but there is all you need to do if you wish to communicate to us that you have comments is use the raise hand feature at the bottom of your screen. You can click on that and that will alert me you wish to speak. If you have audio problems, the audio button is in the bottom left hand of your screen, and you can control the click on that to control the volume controls of your mic and audio. We'll leave it at that. If you have any troubles, you can also send a chat through the Zoom software. I'm going to stop sharing.
All right. So Jenny or Sonia, who's going to go over the application?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. That will be me tonight.
Okay.
This application is to rezone a portion of an existing property from EP to rural in order to make the entire property a contiguous zone and to permit the property owner to construct a dwelling on one portion of it, possibly multiples, depending on what they're doing. It's a fairly large parcel, and the EP zone on it is a straight line separating the top half and the bottom half of the property. There doesn't seem to be any significant features that it is associated with. A consultation was had with Ministry of Natural Resources and Rideau Valley Conservation Authority. No concerns were expressed by either agency with regards to the rezoning of this parcel. The applicant also completed an environmental site assessment through Ontario Lake Assessments that was provided with the package, detailing the features on the property and indicating also in support of the rezoning, in that while there are significant areas of wetlands on the property, they are not identified or designated as either provincially or regionally significant. In all likelihood, they are the result of prolific beaver activity, I believe was the term that was used in the more recent years, and that once those resources have been depleted and the beavers move on, the wetlands will change, alter, may not even be there. Further, that the wetlands in this area were of no difference than the other wetlands in the area leading between the Crow Lake and going north on all of the surrounding properties. So there was nothing determined during the environmental assessment that would indicate a reason for a continued environmental protection zone on this property as specified. Recommendations from Rideau Valley Conservation included things that are mostly covered off in the zoning bylaw: setbacks of at least 30 meters from all water bodies and wetlands, requirements for permits in those regulated areas. They said that the unevaluated wetlands are not regulated by RVCA at this point. This is something anticipated to change with some of the new provincial regulations. However, it's the opinion of planning staff that the current policies in the zoning bylaw for the rural zone and with regards to setbacks for water bodies and wetlands would provide sufficient protection for any of the natural features on these properties. The EIS also identified a number of different areas that would be suitable for development on the property for construction of a house and installation of a septic that meets all of the setbacks in the zoning bylaw and would not require the removal of any of the natural features that were identified through the process. As a result of all of those, planning staff are recommending hearing comments and approving the bylaw.
Okay, thank you, Jenny. Is there any member of the public who would like to speak either in support or not in support of this zoning application? If so, Cindy will tell you how to do the raise hand signal one more time.
We do have the applicants online. I don't know if they wish to speak. You can use the raise hand feature at the bottom of your screen if you wish to comment. If there's anyone else from the public who wishes to comment on the application, I don't believe that there's anybody, but I'll give you an opportunity to use the raise hand feature if you wish to comment. No, I don't see anyone wishing to speak, Madam Mayor.
Okay, then I will ask council. Do you have any question of the applicant that you need answered? Victor?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you to Jenny, just for clarification, inside what is now the EP zone, there's a little red quadrangle. Can you explain, is that like a separate piece of property, and does that also belong to the Thompsons?
That is indeed a separate piece of property, and it does not belong to the Thompsons. It is owned by Hydro One and is the location of one of their substations within there. So that's what that is.
Thanks, Jenny.
Okay. If there are no other questions or comments, Cindy, if you could put up the procedure so I can do the end of the public meeting spiel.
Yep, just give me a second here. Just thinking. Okay, can you see that now?
Yep, I can. Okay, the public meeting is now concluded. I would remind any person wishing to receive additional information to provide their full name and address, postal code, and contact numbers to Kathy McMunn, clerk, to the email address or phone number that's on the screen or on our website. Given the conclusion of the public meeting and the fact there were no public comments, I'm going to ask for a motion moved by Bill and seconded by Tom that the council receive public comments and pass the amending bylaw later in the meeting. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Motion's carried. Okay. Next, we are at bylaws. Thank you very much, Jenny and Sonia. We have a motion moved by Cindy and seconded by Sherry that bylaw 2021-35, being a bylaw to close and convey a portion of the former Ardoch Road, be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed this 25th day of May 2021. Phone's too far away. All those in favor? Motion's carried. Next, I have a bylaw moved by Nikki and seconded by Victor that bylaw 2021-36, being a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw number 2011-52 as amended, Thompson, be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed this 25th day of May 2021. Any discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Now the folks can get on with building their house. Okay, motion moved by Brent and seconded by Elwin that bylaw 2021-37, being a bylaw to authorize the mayor and CAO clerk to enter into a license agreement with Zadburny regarding the road allowance between concession 7 and 8 Olden, be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed this 25th day of May 2021. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion's carried. Is there any notice of motions?
No,
Is there any giving of notice of motions?
no,
Is there any new or other business?
nothing, no,
And there's no closed session?
correct?
Does any member of council have anything to say before we adjourn the meeting? Okay, we have a motion moved by Victor and seconded by Sherry, that bylaw 2021-38 being a bylaw to confirm the regular meeting of council held on May 25th, 2021 be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed this 25th day of May 2021. And further, that this meeting be adjourned until 4 p.m. on June the 8th, 2021, said meeting to be held virtually. And it's 4:59. I think we could probably talk long enough to make it 5 o'clock to be adjourned.
Yes, I'm sure.
All those in favor of the motion? Motion's carried.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Thank you. Thank you all
Go Leafs,
again.
go.
Good night, everybody.
Yes.
Take care,
Good night.
everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Night.
I said we can put 5 o'clock no matter what.
That's a record, I think.
We did well.